Oh my gosh. Like if I'm trying to build up a professional presence on, say, Instagram, which probably is an oxymoron in of itself,
Yeah.
do you do sort of the comedic skit thing to try to attract some of those younger folks, or do you stick to, I'm sophisticated legal counsel for serious entrepreneurs?
So in the C-suite, we're conditioned to think that scaling is better. That's why we're here. We have to get bigger. Bigger is better. And if you're not growing your head count and your revenue every quarter, you're not successful, right?
I don't know. Like working with small businesses and entrepreneurs, I see so many people that are chasing somebody else's idea of success and thinking
Okay.
that bigger is automatically better. And everything ends up just being built on this house of cards. And it's only a matter of time before it all falls apart.
Wow. That is just terrifying.
Yeah, leave it to the lawyer. Always the bearer of bad news, never
I
the fun date at the party.
I guess so.
But that's why we're here talking about this, right?
That is why we're here talking about it. I'm Karen Sullivan, keeping your business scalable with marketing from the C-suite.
And I am Maritza Shea Nelson, helping you to hopefully avoid some of these legal pitfalls while still doing it, whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Welcome to Executive Pour. Pull up a chair.
And a drink.
Bars open. So, vanity metrics. What's that really mean? Head count, flashy office, specific KPIs. I mean, I know one I hear a lot, how many likes, how many reviews we get, big deal. How many employees do you have working for you? How many years you've been in business? I hear those things all the time. Now, as women, we've been conditioned not to read the women's magazines, and read all the vanity posts and stuff. But what about the stuff we're getting from our own community that's telling us to grow bigger, scale bigger, do all these things? And is that just puffery or what? What is this real?
It definitely seems like it. I mean, how many times have you had somebody go, aren't you $1 million business yet? Aren't you planning to scale up fast and sell to venture capital?
Right.
What do you mean you don't have 10, 15 employees by now? What's the problem?
Well,
are you failing?
I must be, because I can't go join all these clubs without a certain amount of top line revenue. So yeah, is this all just a trap?
Oh my gosh. And then my personal favorite, like, let's just, we'll address the elephant in the room. Like, as a minority, well, aren't you going to get your minority business certification?
You haven't done that yet?
Why?
Oh yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious you're Black.
It kind of is. Like, what do I need a certificate? Not to mention, like, time out for a second. My clients are not state and local government. Like, I don't want that. Like, I intentionally work with small businesses, nonprofits. I want to talk to the owner, the founder, the decision maker, the dreamer, the innovator. I don't want to hear you run this up the corporate ladder. I don't need a certification.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go out on a limb and guess that you don't care what color they are either.
Really don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's what I figured. So the trap of vanity metrics, where does this go? And do you scale, or do you pursue something that I personally think feels a little better? Now, granted, I'm over 6 foot tall and we won't talk about my weight, but right sizing is pretty important to me, not just in personal life, but also in my business. So that's what we're talking about here. How do we address this right sizing piece?
I always bring it back to goals. I think there is so much pressure. I don't know if it's just an American thing or what, to, you hear that expression, like, you got to be like the Joneses, right?
Right.
If they drive a Lexus across the street, I better be able to afford a Lexus, right? If you go to any small business networking groups, if you talk to other business owners, oh, well, I've done such and such, and I just hired these new team members, and right? I mean, at least in my world, nobody ever wants to talk about their revenue because that's like, we don't talk about how much money we make.
Well, of course not.
But there is that pressure to, I think, compete with everybody else. And sometimes I find people that just completely lose track of, why'd you start this business in the first place? I mean, this is why I so often talk about, like, I'm here to help you pursue your passion, right?
Yeah.
What are you passionate about? And it's okay if you're not passionate about managing people. People are hard. Sometimes they suck. Like, let's just be honest.
People are very hard. So does that mean I'm relegated to a lifestyle business? I'm not serious.
Why is that a 4-letter word? If you
I don't
want to
know.
build a business that enables you to go off and cruise 4 times a year,
Sign me
God
up.
bless. I love it. I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
I love a good cruise. Let's do it, right?
Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Open bar and sunny seas, let's do it, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if your goal is, I want to scale up, this is software, I'm planning to sell it and then retire and start the next thing because I'm that serial entrepreneur with a million ideas, great, go for that. That's cool too, right? Nobody's saying that's a bad thing.
Okay.
But we don't all have to be that. Like, one of the things I figured out probably just the last year is managing people kind of stinks. I don't like it. I'm naturally an introvert. I want to sit in my office and get the work done some days.
Yes.
I don't want a
Yes.
bunch of junior attorneys knocking on my door going, I got a question. We didn't cover this in law school.
Oh, don't get me started. There's so much. You didn't cover it in law school? What do you think they didn't cover in design school?
What, you mean Canva didn't give me a master's degree in design?
No, it didn't. You know how you can do so much damage with Canva. We won't get into what we didn't have in school.
So you talk about vanity metrics. I'm just curious, as a business owner and as somebody who, like, uses you to do marketing, especially in this day and age of social media, what's really important? Do I really, frankly, give a damn about the number of likes we get on Instagram? Is that really going to translate to clients?
Does it? Can you see a correlation between that?
Personally, I have not seen it. But I suspect it is because people don't look for business legal services on social media. Now, this year, I'm experimenting more with YouTube. I think maybe because we're looking for answers, because we want to know that, hey, this is an attorney I can go talk to and not just some like weird stuffy suit that's going to talk down to me. Personality can translate that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that'll make sense. But, chasing down Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, I know my Instagram feed is all like comedy and silly stuff, right? Do you really want your lawyer popping up in the middle of that?
That's a really good point. And I think at some level we all know that the algorithms are built to give us more of what we already like. So if somebody does hit like on your legal advice or your lawyerly advice, we won't call it legal advice, we'll call it your lawyerly advice.
Yeah, insert the disclaimer here.
Yeah, exactly, right? If somebody does hit like on that, they're going to see a lot more stuff and they're going to quit that really, really fast. So no, that's not, but I think whether we like it or not, we do have to recognize the fact that people may not go looking for advice on Instagram, but they sure do spend a lot of time scrolling through it. So do you want to not show up there? And I struggle with that a lot because as a smaller business, it's really, really difficult to create all this content that may or may not be mine unless I protect it, right? So it is an issue. I think in the way that, 50 years ago, you would not have been in business and not had a place in the phone book.
Mm.
Now, younger generations going to say, what's a phone book, right?
I was going to say, don't you dare look at me. I'm old enough to remember the yellow pages.
Exactly. And there was a time, and I was still in business already in business, when yellow pages what was an issue. Print was an issue. You wouldn't think. I mean, this is maybe only 15 years ago. There were still publications that you would very, very, very much need to be visible in. And I think social media is kind of that way still. You have to have some visibility. You can't afford not to. Does it directly translate into business? For most business to business service providers, I'm going to say it probably won't. It will do things like improve your retention. People will remember you. So if you've popped up in my feed a couple of times over the past week and I run into you in a networking event, then yeah, just being human, I'm going to retain your name maybe a little easier.
Okay.
Those kinds of things. But you have to also weigh that against the amount of work it takes for you to accumulate those metrics. So that gets cumbersome really, really fast.
Well, and I was going to say, so, to that point, as a small business owner, do I tackle all of these platforms or do I just like pick and choose the ones that I personally use?
I think everybody has to make their own decision on that. And it's really, really hard as a small business owner to invest in things that you don't personally use. There's a mindset there that, we fight that time and time again. Owners will say, well, I don't do this, or I do this, so my marketing should do this. Well, that's not exactly accurate, but it does help with it helps lift the load a little bit. It's a lot less work for you to do something that you like. I think to be really strategic, the real answer is you need to figure out where your clients or your prospects are spending their time. And that's really, really hard to do. You can get some generality out of it, but your prospects may, demographically may not be of the kind that actually like to hit a like button. The stealth stalkers or the stealth scrollers, right? So it's really hard to get in their heads. Big companies have enough, Apple and Pepsi have enough trouble doing that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a good use of your time. I think you have to buy into something that you can get behind. What is important is to give prospects a way to get to know you. And the statistics do show time and time again, buyers expect people to be online. They expect to go out there and vet the services you're providing. They expect to get to know you. They expect to find their employers online. And the younger and younger that audience becomes, the more they expect to have some kind of interaction with you that doesn't require directly speaking to you.
That's a really interesting point because as we talk about scaling, for some people that means, scaling up your marketing. Sometimes that means scaling up and attracting employees. One of the things I've found that I've had to tell clients is just like you market yourself to customers or clients, you have to market yourself to potential, future employees as well.
That may be the heavier lift for most small businesses.
Well, because at least my experience as the attorney has been that nobody's thinking about it that way. Like, I think we're so often thinking people are out there looking for their next job. If I slap something on LinkedIn or, Indeed or whatever, people will come calling. And it's actually like, especially the small businesses, that's not true at all. It's so much harder because people are thinking, oh, if you're a small business, is that sustainable? Am I really going to be able to stay in that job and build a career? But, I say all that to say, how do you strike that balance, especially as we start looking at these younger generations coming into the workforce, right?
They're all younger at some point.
Oh my gosh. Like if I'm trying to build up a professional presence on, say, Instagram, which probably is an oxymoron in of itself, do you do sort of the comedic skit thing to try to attract some of those younger folks? Or do you stick to, I'm sophisticated legal counsel for serious entrepreneurs.
That comes back to the innovation and the differentiation you provide for your own brand. First of all, it's never going to resonate unless it's real.
Mm.
It's got to be you. It's got to be transparent. It's got to be real. And I can't determine that for you. I can help you pull that out of your head and put some words around it and decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
But probably more than ever, audiences are aware of what's real. And it doesn't mean that they will or won't buy because you are or aren't real, but there's an awareness there.
Yeah.
And just like any other set of circumstances, it's how you play the game. You don't try to fight it. I'm thinking CBS Sunday Morning last week had a piece on the latest Kennedy to go into politics. His last name's not Kennedy. I'm going to forget because he's a liberal, of course, but I forget the last name.
So let me just insert this for the people that are watching, right? The funny thing about Karen and I doing this podcast is that, on the surface, we have absolutely nothing in common, right? In case you haven't figured it out, Karen is conservative. I am at least left of center. I think I'm liberal. I think my friends would say I'm more left of center. I'm not as liberal as all of my friends are, but the running joke is that being a black business owner will turn you into a Republican. I'm not. Don't cancel me on the internet, God. Karen straight, I'm not. On this, she's black. I do that every time. I'm black, she's white. Like on the surface, we have absolutely nothing in common. So if you're watching on YouTube, right, I just want to make that clear for the people that are listening. And we're not going to cancel Karen for being a conservative either. We may disagree on some things.
I think we've found it. It's funny as all get out sometimes. I mean, it's humorous. It's not a barrier.
Yeah, not a barrier we've still worked together, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, again, as we're talking about like innovation and differentiation and things like that, and all of your clients may not look like you, right? They may not think like you. All your employees, if you are trying to scale up in that way, may not look like you, may not think like you.
Absolutely not. They absolutely won't. But it does come back to you personally are responsible for how your brand, how your personality is perceived. And whatever it takes to be true to yourself and be true to what you want to accomplish, I think that's way more important. And that's something that Maritza and I've had from day one. I actually looked it up because it's in my calendar. Our first coffee together was in 2013.
Seriously?
Yes, it was.
Wow, I did not know that.
And I can tell you exactly where it was too. But how in my world, there's no explanation for that, why we're friends.
Right.
Except that we are. And it's a beautiful thing. So that we're hoping to bring some of the point counterpoint into the podcast, because that's the kind of conversation that changes the world. I will honestly say that our conversations have changed the way I look at things for the better, because here's somebody I truly respect. I respect and trust with my business in a way that I've never trusted anybody else. And her color, her background, none of that stuff, it matters. But her diversity of viewpoint and innovation, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, and I think that's the thing, when we talk about innovation, we talk about growing your business, whatever that may mean for you, right? Like I know when I started my business, I had a chip on my shoulder because of some of the things that had happened in my corporate career.
Who wouldn't?
Right. And I was just like, I'm just going to do better than that. Right. My goal is to make more money than I ever made at those corporate firms. Right.
Right. You do it the right way.
Right. Do it the right way. So
Yeah.
many of the people I talk to, why are you starting this business? I got fired from that corporate job. I hated it. They needed to kick me out anyway. And I want to do better than that mean, evil corporation. Right. Other people I talk to, it's just like, yeah, I want to grow it. I want to scale and I want to have 100 employees. And that's my vision of success. Cool. That's great. That's for you. Like, don't impose that on everybody else.
Right.
And at the same time, know what your vision is, know what your definition of success is, and pursue that absolutely unrelentingly, and find the people that are going to be in your corner and be open to the fact that those people might surprise you.
I think they'd very much surprise you. And you have, in fact, brought this full circle around to answer your own question.
Oh, boy. I forgot what the question was.
Which was, I know, right? which was, so should I put time into an Instagram presence? And I think more than ever, that personality and who you are resonates with people in different ways. And that's one of the best ways for people to get to know you and self-select before they pick up the phone, or to either call you. Can't even use that phrase anymore, can I? So they pick up the phone to either call or text you.
I'm gonna say, who picks up a phone?
I know, right?
God forbid I have to call somebody. Naturally, I'm an introvert, though, so I hate calling people.
That is one thing we have in common. I will not pick up the phone unless, I was going to say unless you hold a gun to my head, but that's a whole other rabbit hole. So, but yeah, I think that that's one way of putting yourself out there and showing who you are. And it isn't so much that will cause people to come to you, but once they have, or once they've heard that is one way for them to get to know you and feel safe in approaching you.
Yeah.
So that's how I would treat that. Is it going to exponentially increase your business? No, I don't believe that it will, unless you get lucky enough. Maybe, okay, there's probably some examples out there. Whatever.
Yeah, there's some lucky person that, has got the comedic president and went viral.
Probably some stupid person. That's all I'm saying. Doing something. Here, hold my beer. Watch me do this, right? Okay, fine. But for the rest of us, no.
So your marketing goal is not to make us all go viral.
Well, we could argue some of what I just said was pretty stupid.
I mean, I think in at least one of these episodes I've spilled a drink on myself, so, it happens. But I will also say that, you would be surprised at the number of time, particularly women, come into my office, or in this day and age, we're sitting down to a consultation on Zoom and they say, finally, an attorney that's not an old white man in a suit who's just going to talk down to me,
right,
and who thinks that as a women business owner, my business idea is just some fly-by-night Etsy project or a home bakery. So yeah, like we've talked about before, be yourself, embrace what it is that makes you unique. Within reason, right? I mean, I think there's still something to be said for looking the part of an attorney.
I think you're right. But are you trying to look the part of an attorney, or are you trying to look the part of somebody who's trustworthy and approachable?
Maybe that's the better way to put it, right? So like, even as we talk about this marketing stuff, right? Yeah, I do Instagram because I'm actually on Instagram. I don't bother with Facebook, even though they're owned by the same company, because I haven't been on Facebook in God knows how many years.
Right. And I think some of this conversation, even though we've kind of gone out around the barn, but you've come back to answer the initial concerns that we opened the show with, which are, is this scaling thing real, or is it just a trap? And I think the answer is being true to yourself and being true to why you went into business.
Yeah. And remember what that passion is.
Yes. Because hopefully you have a long life, and regardless of how long it is, it's way too short to do something you don't like. and far too short to do it with people you don't want to do it with. So finding those people and allowing those people to find you, I think, is the true value of some of these marketing efforts that maybe don't have hard numbers.
Amen to that. I mean, my mom always said, none of us is promised tomorrow. So you've already taken the leap to, step out on faith and start a business. You probably have people in your life that at some point said, "Are you crazy?" Like my father-in-law
Daily.
always said, go get a real job, right? You've already done
Yeah.
that part, right? Why try to then
Right.
put yourself in a little box of, all right, I'm going to be like everybody else out there. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't even imagine how you market that.
No,
You just
No.
won't.
no. There has to be something different, and if you can't find it, I'll help you. Call me. Buy me a drink.
Hey, I'll drink to that, because if you can solve that one, then hey, go for it. I truly think, and then maybe we're getting on a tangent here, but I truly think there are some people that I want to start a business because the idea of being a business owner sounds cool. I see this a lot with people that are thinking about buying a franchise.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
because they've got an idea. It's not because they say, hey, I see this and I can do it better, or I see this problem and I can solve it. It's just the idea of being a business owner. And I'm just like, that's going to get old real fast.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, as a business owner, I work harder now than I ever have before in my life.
True that.
And I would not trade it for the world. You could not pay me to go back to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
So being this sort of like cookie cutter, I'm just going to, here's a franchise. I can just do that. I don't really have any ideas. I'm just like, really? Like, oh, I just want my, marketing agency to be like every other marketing agency out there. We're going to do the same website everybody else is doing. We're going to do the same thing on social media as whatever's trending today. I feel like I would get bored.
Nobody starts out wanting to do that. I don't think anybody ends up wanting to do that. But the trick is, I think, finding something you're passionate about, and that's there's no replacement for that. There's no substitute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your secret weapon is to choose who you work with and to choose how you do it. Not to follow the cookie cutter, pre-prescribed, do this, do this, do this. Do it your way, stay true to who you are, and be satisfied with that. Oh, that sounded lame.
Yeah, but people need to hear it, because I have the sneaking suspicion that your clients are coming to you in a very roundabout way and saying, but what about this I saw? What about this trend? What about this bandwagon? I hear from my clients all the time when it comes to hiring people. It's just like, well, they won't do it my way.
Yeah.
They don't have as much passion as I do as the owner. They don't put in as much effort. They don't bother to think about how this is going to impact the business. Of course they don't. They're employees. They're not the owner. And those are two wildly different hats.
And I'm sure we'll get to these topics as well, because we're doing it now. But there are ways, and I would argue that's why we call it marketing from the C-suite, because there's internal marketing and there's external marketing. So there's ways to influence some of these things. But just like episode 1, it comes back to your goals and what you're truly holding yourself accountable to.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it may sound a little cookie cutter, but I think as business owners, and I'll include myself in this, we all need the reminder sometimes.
We do.
And this episode hasn't been as heavy on some of the legal issues, but I think in the future, if we talk about safety net, and we can expand on this in other episodes, it's what kind of workplace culture are you building, right? And how does that impact those employment policies and that employee handbook?
Absolutely.
What does that look like? So,
and I'll toast to the business owners who find their tribe, and Nurture their tribe.
Hey, find your tribe, even when it looks a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode of Executive Poor, make sure
We did.
We certainly did. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all those wonderful platforms, wherever you happen to prefer to listen or watch.
And executivepoor.com for transcripts and meeting notes and links to other fun stuff.
Hey, it's been fun. Till next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.